Hey, good morning, everyone. Today we're back in First Samuel, and we're going to pick back up in chapter 18 where we left off last time here in First Samuel and see how far we make it. So, um, if you're just happen to be new to this video, so you know, I do I do a video, and each time I do the video, it's 50 minutes is what I have. So that's my timeline, and so I just what started out as a study from Genesis to Revelation. It's still a study from Genesis to Revelation in the chronological study Bible, but it started out with this ambitious game plan of doing the Bible, of basically doing 10 pages a day, which broke out into like 100 and I think 43 days, because there were like 1400 plus pages here in the chronological study Bible. Anyway, along the way, I feel like God has led us along the way. We've gotten a little more detailed and reading, verse by verse. And I imagine at times it'll go back more to kind of a synopsis summary. But here we are. And if you need the chronological study Bible, I will gladly send it to you. And that email address is becauseloveneverfails@gmail.com. And just send me your physical address and I'll send that Bible to you. And the because there is BECAUSE. There was some confusion on that because the YouTube channel doesn't have the E in it. It's just, anyway, so it's because, like you normally spell the word because love never fails at gmail.com. So, chapter 18, here we are in 1 Samuel, and where we left off last time, David had just dodged spears. Saul was throwing spears at David, and the last verse we left off with, Saul cast the spear. This is verse 11. Saul cast the spear, for he said, "I will pin David to the wall." But David escaped his presence twice. Now, I want to share with you here there's a beautiful short book. It's only about 87 pages long, and it's called A Tale of Three Kings. And anyway, it really captures the kingship here, what's going on, and in a very beautiful way. And I feel like, I referenced this morning, and it'll give us a bit of a context here. So I'm going to read a couple of short chapters to you. And one thing to note, so again, David just dodged the spears, and one thing to note is Saul is in this spiral of madness. But as he's going down, David, so as Saul is increasing in madness, David is increasing in understanding. So this king, this man after God's own heart, is growing up in the Lord and in what's soon to be his reign. So here's the question. David had a question. What do you do when someone throws a spear at you? Does it seem odd to you that David did not know the answer to this question? After all, everyone else in the world knows what to do when a spear is thrown at you. Why, you pick up the spear and throw it right back. When someone throws a spear at you, David, just wrench it out of the wall and throw it back. Everyone else does, you can be sure. And in performing this small feat of returning thrown spears, you will prove many things. You'll prove that you are courageous. You stand for the right. You boldly stand against the wrong. You are tough and can't be pushed around. You will not stand for injustice or unfair treatment. You are the defender of the faith, keeper of the flame, detector of all heresy. You will not be wronged. All of these attributes then combine to prove that you are also a candidate for kingship. Yes, perhaps you are the Lord's anointed, after the order of King Saul. There is also a possibility that some 20 years after your coronation, you will be the most incredibly skilled spear thrower in all the realm, and also by then, quite mad. And then this last little section here, it says, unlike anyone else in spear throwing history, David did not know what to do when a spear was thrown at him. He did not throw Saul's spears back at him, nor did he make any spears of his own and throw them. Something was different about David. All he did was dodge the spears. What can a man, especially a young man, do when the king decides to use him for target practice? What if the young man decides not to return the compliment? First of all, he must pretend he cannot see spears, even when they are coming straight at him. Second, he must learn to duck very quickly. Last, he must pretend nothing happened. You can easily tell when someone has been hit by a spear. He turns a deep shade of bitter. David never got hit. Gradually, he learned a very well kept secret. He discovered three things that prevented him from ever being hit. One, never learn anything about the fashionable, easily mastered art of spear throwing. Two, stay out of the company of all spear throwers. And three, keep your mouth tightly closed. In this way, spears will never touch you, even when they pierce your heart. Now, there's a bit of sarcasm in that, but in that there's a real pointing to the truth here as we look at David and uh, and think about what's going on. He's been invited into this court of Saul to play the harp and to minister to Saul, and all the while as Saul is increasing in his madness, he's just completely bothered by David. And the fact that the Lord's with David, it's obvious, and it'll become more obvious as we go along. And all it does is it just incenses Saul even more, and even already, and we're going to see it again, to where he's throwing spears, literally trying to impale David and kill him. And then the schemes that'll unfold as he's trying to take David down. And so just in that sarcasm of what there is to learn, David doesn't return the favor. There's something going on in David. There's something that he recognizes, and perhaps this is the key. Perhaps the thing that he recognizes is that God has put Saul in the place that Saul's in, and why would it be up to him to take that away? So, and also with that, of course, timing. So recognizing that it's God that puts things in place, and also that God has a timing. And he plays this out. He increases in understanding and follows along. Certainly, he has questions. He has Samuel to counsel with along the way, and there's wonderings. And we'll see in some of his psalms this crying out of what's going on. But he's seeking the Lord in all of this, and seeking the Lord's timing. And that's a beautiful thing and a beautiful lesson for all of us. And it can be challenging. But the last I checked, and I would suppose the last time you checked, in the meantime of trying to seek God and follow His counsel, you don't have anyone throwing spears at you, at least physically. Spiritual warfare could be a whole different topic, but okay. Now, Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with him, jumping into verse 12, but had departed from Saul. Therefore, Saul removed him from his presence and made him his captain over 1,000. And he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. This is the second time we've seen behaved wisely. We saw it at the beginning of chapter 18. And that behaved wisely will show up a few more times. And the Lord was with him. Therefore, when Saul saw that he behaved very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David, because he went out and came in before them. Then Saul said to David, "Here is my older daughter Merab. I will give her to you as a wife. Only be valiant for me and fight the Lord's battles." For Saul thought, "Let my hand not be against him, but let the hand of the Philistines be against him." So here's this scheming. If I put him out there, to fight the Lord's battles, does Saul even really care about the Lord's battles? Really, what he's up to is he's wanting to put David in a position to where he might fall at the hands of the Philistines. So David said to Saul, "Who am I, and what is my life or my father's family in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the king?" But it happened at the time when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given to Adriel, the Meholatite, as a wife. Now Michal, Saul's daughter, loved David, and they told Saul, and the thing pleased him. So Saul said, "I will give her to him, that she may be a snare to him, and that the hand of the Philistines may be against him." Therefore Saul said to David a second time, "You shall be my son-in-law today." Same scheming going on here, just with a second daughter. So he missed the marriage with the first daughter, Merab, but now there's this brewing of a second marriage, or to his first marriage with the second daughter, Michal. And Saul commanded his servants, "Communicate with David secretly and say, 'Look, the king has delight in you, and all his servants love you. Now therefore become the king's son-in-law.'" So Saul's servants spoke those words in the hearing of David. And David said, "Does it seem to you a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing I am a poor and lightly esteemed man?" And the servants of Saul told him, saying, "In this manner David spoke." Uh, Basically, Saul's servants came back, reported to Saul what David had said, and then Saul said, "Thus you shall say to David, the king does not desire any dowry, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines to take vengeance on the king's enemies." But Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. So when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to become the king's son-in-law. Now the days had not expired. Therefore David arose and went, he and his men, and killed 200 men of the Philistines. And David brought the foreskins, and they gave them in full count to the king, that he might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave him Michal, his daughter, as a wife. It, it, I found this interesting. I don't know necessarily how to completely speak to it, except that there's this David's keeps throwing out. This is not a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, and there was a reflection and perhaps an internal debate on a marriage to the first daughter, and then the same to the second daughter. Yet then, when Saul puts forth this statement to him of, "Hey, there's no dowry, but bring me foreskins of the Philistines," this pleased David, perhaps speaking to his to that valiant warrior in David, to go out and um, defeat, take over the Philistines. So he roused at that, and sure enough, brought back these foreskins of the Philistines. And then Saul gave him Michal, his daughter, as a wife. Thus Saul saw and knew that the Lord was with David, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him. And Saul was still more afraid of David. So Saul became David's enemy continually. Then the princes of the Philistines went out to war, and so it was whenever they went out that David behaved more wisely. There it is again, behaved more wisely than all the servants of Saul, so that his name became highly esteemed. All these schemes that Saul is setting against David, even the marriage of his daughter, he sets up these schemes, yet David is remarkably successful. Let's set it up to where the Philistines defeat David. Well, the Philistines don't defeat David, and as a matter of fact, he comes back with this, all these foreskins, so he's successful there. Well, now Saul's own daughter loves David, and he sees that, and we're told that, that in this, Saul was still more afraid of David and became David's enemy continually. And just in the beginning of when we started out, when I shared those two chapters of from the book, A Tale of Three Kings, to give this context, it's really a question also of looking at what kind of king Saul was and is, as we see here, and then also looking at what kind of king David was and is, as we see here, and we'll even have that chance also looking at Solomon and what lessons it has for us in our own life. What order of kingship do you want to follow in? Do you want to just exist in the world around you and just do as others do? Do as the Romans do, as they say. So if you're in a place in life where people are coming at you, where when someone throws an angry word at you, guess what? You just throw an angry word right back. It may not be a physical spear, but boy, it's still a spear nonetheless. And so in every moment throughout our life, we have these decisions to make. And that's really one of the big lessons to pick up here as we continue to follow this account of David and Saul, and seeing how incredible, David's life is. Again, a man after God's own heart. And what order of kingship do we want to be a part of? Okay, so 19 starts. We've got 45 seconds left, so we're able to finish chapter 18 here. So we'll pick back up together in chapter 19, yeah. All right, guys. God bless you. May your day be fruitful, and yeah. God bless you guys. Bye.